Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim wa salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Dear my students, grade 8, welcome back again. We are going to go on and study Unit 11 for the second term, lesson number 3. We are going to practice listening today. Okay, before we start here, we have the word creativity, and we have said it is the highest form of intelligence, creativity, to be creative. Let's study the words that we have before we move to the listening practice. The first word that we have is called an attitude. Attitude. Like the example says, it's often very difficult to change people's attitudes. So I'd like you to look at the pictures that are in front of you and try to guess what does mean the word attitude here. Okay, when we come to the word attitude, if we want to define it and know its meaning, it's a feeling or opinion about something or someone, or a way of behaving that is caused by this. So this is called what here? Attitude. Attitude. Like you have a different attitude from other people. The next word that we have is called expert. Expert. Like the character that is in front of you, she's called Noor bin Aidan, and she is so creative. She's an expert in interior designing. Expert. Expert means what? The word expert. Expert means a person with a high level of knowledge or skill relating to a particular subject or activity. So the word is called what here? Expert. Expert. Let's revise the words that we have said. The first one, expert, expert, and the next one, attitude, attitude. Okay, let's move together to page 84 in your book. Here, before listening here, I'd like you to answer this question. Who is the most creative person in your family and why? I'd like you to tell me who is the most creative person in your family. Okay, someone who has creativity and why. Like, is he an inventor? Like, does he do things like in a creative way, in a new way? Okay, try to tell me about him or her and write it in the comments below. Okay, now let's move to during listening strategies here. Here you are going to listen to Lee Johnson. He is an expert on creative thinking, and you are going to complete the following diagram. Here, this diagram is divided into two parts. The diagram on the left speaks about the 6 secrets of creativity, and on the right speaks about reasons. I'd like you to listen and try to write down the 6 secrets of creativity on the left here, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And here you are going to tell me the reason of creativity here, okay? Try to go on.
Do you want to be more creative? Well, today we're talking to Lee Johnson. He's written a book called How to Improve Your Creativity. So, Lee, is it possible to be more creative? Absolutely. Everybody has the potential to be a creative person. Do you have any advice for people to follow? Yes, I do. I have 6 simple rules for how to be more creative. I call these the 6 secrets of creativity. What's rule number 1? Always carry a small notebook and a pen or pencil. If you have an idea, write it down immediately. 90% of your ideas could be silly. Don't worry. 10% of your ideas could be brilliant. That sounds like a very good idea. I often think of a good idea, but I haven't got anywhere to write it down. So what happens? I forget it. So, what's rule number 2? Go for a walk. A change of place is always good for your mind, and exercise gives more energy to your brain. Rule 3 is connected to this idea. Read a lot of books. Reading gives your brain a lot of information, and books can give you inspiration. Is watching TV a good idea? No, it isn't. It's a very bad idea. Rule number 4 is don't watch a lot of TV. It isn't good for your brain. Your brain needs exercise, just like the rest of your body. So, rule 5 is exercise your brain. Play chess, talk to people, do crosswords. You will be more creative if your brain is fit. And what's your final rule, Lee? My last rule is probably the most important. Have a positive attitude. If you're positive, then you'll be able to do lots of different things. Thank you, Lee. That's very interesting advice. Well, thank you. And remember, everybody can be creative.
Okay, now you have listened to Lee Johnson, the expert on creative thinking. Now you are going to complete the following diagram. But before discussing the answers together, you are going to listen again to make sure of your answers and try to revise them. Listen again.
Do you want to be more creative? Well, today we're talking to Lee Johnson. He's written a book called How to Improve Your Creativity. So, Lee, is it possible to be more creative? Absolutely. Everybody has the potential to be a creative person. Do you have any advice for people to follow? Yes, I do. I have 6 simple rules for how to be more creative. I call these the 6 secrets of creativity. What's rule number 1? Always carry a small notebook and a pen or pencil. If you have an idea, write it down immediately. 90% of your ideas could be silly. Don't worry. 10% of your ideas could be brilliant. That sounds like a very good idea. I often think of a good idea, but I haven't got anywhere to write it down. So what happens? I forget it. So, what's rule number 2? Go for a walk. A change of place is always good for your mind, and exercise gives more energy to your brain. Rule 3 is connected to this idea. Read a lot of books. Reading gives your brain a lot of information, and books can give you inspiration. Is watching TV a good idea? No, it isn't. It's a very bad idea. Rule number 4 is don't watch a lot of TV. It isn't good for your brain. Your brain needs exercise, just like the rest of your body. So, rule 5 is exercise your brain. Play chess, talk to people, do crosswords. You will be more creative if your brain is fit. And what's your final rule, Lee? My last rule is probably the most important. Have a positive attitude. If you're positive, then you'll be able to do lots of different things. Thank you, Lee. That's very interesting advice. Well, thank you. And remember, everybody can be creative.
Okay, now you have listened to it. Let's check the answers together. The first rule here, carry a notebook and a pen. Why? The reason here to write down. The second one, what have you written? Excellent. Go for a walk. Why? The reason, exercise gives energy to the brain. Okay. Third one, read a lot of books. Why? What is the reason here? That's right. Reading gives a lot of information, because reading gives a lot of information. When you are going to read a lot of books, you are going to have more information. Rule number 4, don't watch a lot of TV. Okay? Don't watch a lot of TV. Some students, they don't like this idea, but it's a useful one. Why? Because the brain needs exercise. If you are going to watch a lot of TV, your brain is not going to work. What about the 5th secret here? The 5th secret, exercise your brain. Why? Because it makes you more creative. When you exercise your brain, you are going to play chess, as he has said. You are going to play crosswords and do some activities. You are going to be more creative. The last secret here, the most important one, as he has said, have a positive attitude. Why? Because to do different things. Okay? Now, let's go on. We are going to say them again, but fast this time. The first one, that's right. I'd like you to say with me, carry a notebook and a pen. The reason, to write down everything. Okay, as he has said, like sometimes you are going to find 90% of your ideas are silly, but 10% are brilliant. Okay, next one. The second one, as we have said, you have to go for a walk, and the reason because exercise gives energy to the brain. Third one, you have to read a lot of books. Why? Do you remember? That's right, because reading gives a lot of information. Next one, number 4, don't watch a lot of TV. As we have said, that's right, the brain needs exercise. Number 5, exercise your brain because it makes you more creative. Next one, have a positive attitude, and the reason for it, to be able to do lots of different things. Okay, now let's move. Here we have a question: what are the secrets of creativity? The 6 secrets that we have spoken about, try to write down them in the comments below. Now let's move to a new exercise. Here we are going to practice grammar. In this part, we are going to speak about double comparative here. Double comparative. Here, the double comparatives here speaks about the, we are going to use comparative adjective after it, and the next part or the second part, the plus comparative adjective. If you remember comparative adjective, we have experienced this one and discussed it the first term. We have spoken about this one. Do you remember? If we have the word one syllable or the adjective one syllable, we are going to add er to it. But if we have more than one syllable, as we have said, you are going to use more before it. Here, if you read the first example with me, the more books I read, the more I learn. Here you see, the more books I read, the more I learn. So when I read lots of books or more books, I'm going to learn more. Next one. The older we grow, the wiser we become. Look at the second example here. The older, er here. So this one is comparative adjective. We add er here. And the second part, wiser, comes from the adjective wise. We add r because we have e at the end of the adjective. This is again. Let's read more examples here. The more you eat, the more weight you gain. The more, the more. Okay, so when you eat more, you are going to gain more weight. The happier you are, the healthier you get. So when you are happy, you are going to be healthy. So the happier you are, the healthier you get. The more you study, the more you learn. So when you study more, you are going to learn more. Next one, the faster the car is, the more dangerous it is to drive. The faster the car is, the more dangerous it is to drive. Now, I'd like you to complete the following sentences. We have 3 sentences. You have to complete them using comparative adjectives here. The first one, the first part is missing and the second part is written for you. He says what for the second part? The better your marks will be. So when your marks will be better, try to think of a sentence here to complete this one. Let's read the next one. The more time I spend with my family, okay, so when you spend more time with your family, what's going to happen? The last one, the second part, the sooner you arrive, the sooner you arrive. Okay, take your time. You have about 1 minute and 15 seconds. Try to answer these questions and then come back again to discuss them together. Now, let's check the answers. The first one, as we have said, the second part here, the better your marks will be. When your marks, okay, will be better. When will your marks be better? Excellent. The more you study, so when you are going to study more, so the better your marks will be. The more here, and the second part, the better. Comparative adjectives. Next one, the more time I spend with my family. Excellent. This one, some students, they have got it correctly. The happier I will be. The happier I will be. And you can write more examples about this one. We have more than one correct answer for this one. Next one, Who can say this one in the comments and write it down, and I'll see it inshallah. Okay, here the earlier you leave, the sooner you arrive. So when you leave early, okay, you are going to arrive sooner, okay? So the earlier you leave, the sooner you arrive. Okay, here you are going to write the sentences using double comparatives here. We have two examples, but these two examples, we want to change them or transform them, but using the comparative adjectives here, using double comparatives. The first example, he says what? If we exercise more, we will become healthier. If we exercise more, we will become healthier. The second one, if the sun is brighter, I will be happier. How can we answer this one? As we have said, you are going to start the first sentence with the. That's right. So the first sentence, you are going to start with what? With the. Okay, and after that, you are going to use the adjective that has er or more. In the first example, we have more. So the more, and you are going to complete the more you or we exercise. The second one, the. And where is the adjective that has er here, or we have more? Excellent, healthier. So the healthier you will become, if you have written you for the first one, or we will become. We are going to discuss it together. I'd like you to go to the second example and try to do it alone. Okay, take your time and come back again to discuss the answers with me. Okay, for the first one, as we have said this one, so the more you exercise, as you see here, we are going to start with that. Look at the first sentence, we don't have here, but we have more here, so you're going to write the more you exercise, and that. Here the adjective that has er, so becomes here healthier, you will become. The next one, who can say this one? If the sun is brighter, I will be happier. If the sun is brighter, I will be happier. So you're going to start with what? With that. So that and the adjective here, brighter. The brighter, and here we speak about what? The sun. That's right. So the brighter the sun is, and the second one, extent. It's going to be the happier I will be. So the brighter the sun is, the happier I will be. So this is an exercise about using double comparatives. Now let's move to another activity, but this activity speaks about writing. Speaks about what here? Writing. Part 2. Let's write a short story. You are going to write a short story, but try to write the first draft, not the final draft. This story you are going to write about the character you decided on previously. If you remember the previous lesson, lesson number 2, we have discussed this one when we have spoken about appearance. Do you remember this one? And the character. Now you are going to choose one of the following ideas for your story or create your own. Like this one. It was the best or worst day of his or her life. He or she, if you are going to speak about male or female, has been left alone on an island, or so they assumed until he or she wakes up to find a message written in the sand. You are going to focus on getting your ideas down in the first draft rather than perfecting your word choice. I'd like you to remember to focus on getting your ideas down in the first draft, as we have said, rather than perfecting your word choice. So we focus here on the ideas on the first draft. You can choose this one, as we have said. We have discussed all of them. And you can add events and include details to describe actions, thoughts, and feelings. Okay? You can write all of them in a notebook, and also you can write them in the comments below. You can add some events, like thinking of the following questions, like where was he or she? You're going to speak about the time and the place. And also you can speak about what happened to him or to her. Was he alone or was she alone? How did he feel? How did she feel? Now you are going to use your notes to write your own story. Try to finish it, and you can write it in the comments below. Before we finish here, these are the 6 secrets of creativity. As we have said before, try to revise them again and try to apply them. Okay? See you inshallah in the next videos. Goodbye.